Well, Musso, this is the part of the show where I tell the audience how close we are to football, and we all get excited. We are now 24 days away from the NFL preseason. 1 week from tomorrow, New Orleans Saints rookies will report to training camp. The Saints open preseason not too far from now, August 13th at the Houston Texans. In case you've forgotten, the New Orleans Saints at the moment, 50-1 odds to win the Super Bowl, at least according to DraftKings, plus 360 to now win the NFC South. Pretty good price on the Saints, and we'll get to find out really soon whether or not they get to live up to the expectations here. You pumped, Musso?
Yeah, man. This is the most interesting Saints season in years, in over a decade. I mean, just because of all the change, and you don't have Sean Payton. And look, Tyrann Mathieu had his heart of a Badger camp over the weekend at the Saints facility, and he spoke to the media a little bit. So that helps get you fired up as well, getting to hear from him again. And you've got he's fired up to be on the field as well as others. So next week could be pretty busy, huh? SEC football media days, rookies reporting to training camp. It could be pretty interesting next week.
It's going to be very interesting, and it should be a very interesting season for the Saints for a lot of the reasons that you just said. And over the weekend, in case you saw, a couple of defensive players from the Saints got a lot of love online, and I thought we could talk about him here during this segment. So Marshon Lattimore, currently 100-1 to win NFL Defensive Player of the Year, going into his 6th NFL season this year. And in a recent ESPN poll, this was released over the weekend, Marshon Lattimore was rated as the second best cornerback in the NFL, only behind Jalen Ramsey in the LA Rams. And Lattimore was the 11th overall pick back in 2017. Saints wanted Patrick Mahomes in that draft. Almost happened, didn't happen, but did get Marshon Lattimore, and it's worked out pretty good for both the Saints and for the fifth-year cornerback, because Lattimore has now made the Pro Bowl in 4 out of his 5 seasons, including each of the last 3 years, and he's also coming off a career-high 68 tackles last year. You can tell he is getting better in the run support and kind of tackling in the open field. This is going to be a big season for Marshon Lattimore, Musso, but based on lists like these and based how we see other NFL players talk about Lattimore, it's clear that he's gaining his respect around the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, and look, with the contract the Saints gave him, I mean, I think that was the first hint of the respect that he's gaining, right? So it was a great season for him. The Saints have the opportunity to still have a really, really strong secondary, man. I mean, especially at the cornerback position. You'll wait and see what happens at safety. I mean, obviously, you lose Jenkins, you lose I'm blanking all of a sudden.
Marcus Williams.
Thank you, Marcus Williams. But you bring in Tyrann Mathieu, you bring in Marcus May. So you'll see what happens there. But you look at the cornerback room, and that's just still strong. Obviously, draft pick Lante Taylor comes in, and they liked what they saw from him just in the OTAs and mandatory mini camp, things of that nature. Marshon Lattimore, obviously. Bradley Roby is still on this team. I think people kind of forget about that just because he was brought in to be such a fix for them last year, but then Paulson Adebo emerged and has a really good rookie season. I mean, that's 4 guys right there that they should be able to count on, and it should be one of the best, if not the best, cornerback rooms in the NFC.
Yeah, I agree, and that's well said. I will venture to say that I think Lattimore right now I would call the best player in the secondary. And to your point about the 2017 draft, Marshon Lattimore, out of the defensive players the Saints took that draft, is the last player standing. Like you said, they chose to pay him. They chose to not do the same with both Trey Hendrickson and Marcus Williams, his fellow draftees back in 2017, who the Saints both let walk in free agency. And Marshon Lattimore coming in, I think you could tell was going to be really good. Obviously, he won Rookie of the Year his defensive season. There were small moments in that 2017 season where you can kind of see that Marshon Lattimore, not like other rookies, and just how big his potential was. We all remember him trying to fight Mike Evans in that first matchup between the two of them. Jameis Winston giving a wet willy. Mike Evans getting probably a little too mad. He was flustered. He had 1 catch for 13 yards in that game the first time he went up against Lattimore. And in that same season, in his rookie year, he got a pick 6 against Matthew Stafford back when he was still with the Lions. Still considered a really good quarterback back then. And remember what the Saints secondary was before Marshon Lattimore got to New Orleans? They were really bad. Ken Crawley was still out here starting football games alongside Lattimore. And the secondary as a whole slowly became really good, borderline elite as recently as last season. And Marshon Lattimore is a huge reason for that.
Yeah, no, and I mean, again, like I said, I look for a very strong season from that group again this year. I mean, the defense as a whole, but I'm really excited about the cornerback room.
A lot of people are really excited to watch Marshawn Lattimore play this season, and a lot of people have been really excited watching Cam Jordan play throughout his whole career. And the Saints defensive end, as we speak, is 65-1 to win Defensive Player of the Year in the NFL this year. And on Sunday, he turned 33 years old. I was a little upset with myself this morning on OTB, not giving Cam a shout out during weekend winners, because it was his birthday yesterday. And like Marshawn Lattimore this weekend, he was getting a lot of love online, and he should. In 11 NFL seasons, Cam Jordan has only missed one game, and he has 107 sacks for the Saints. That's second in team history to Ricky Jackson, who has 115. Cam will likely break that record this year. I will likely get to broadcast it. Really excited about that, and really excited to watch Cam play again this year, because at 32 years old last season, he had 12 and a half sacks. And since turning 30 years old in the last two seasons, or the last three seasons, I should say, Cam Jordan has 35.5 sacks, 63 QB hits, and 39 tackles for loss. Up until now, we honestly haven't really seen much drop off from Cam, whether that be pass rushing or in the run support. And he's set for another big season here for what should be a really good defense in the Saints.
The 12 and a half sacks from him last year, kind of vindication, I feel like, because it wasn't always just totally positive around Cam Jordan as of late, which I kind of thought was a little premature in a way. I remember, obviously, look, he struggled so much during the COVID season and then got off to a slow start last year, and people were wondering, okay, are the Saints going to seek an opportunity to maybe even trade Cam Jordan, or is he just finally reaching the end of his career? And as you mentioned, he goes on to have the 12 and a half sacks. Look, defensive player of the year, no.
Yeah,
but
65-1 odds.
Solid player, still one of the top defensive ends in the NFL. I think so. And that's going to be one of the best storylines all year, is him chasing Ricky Jackson. 8 sacks away, and I mean, yeah, he should get that this year, and that'll be a great moment when he does. I mean, Cam Jordan, outside of Drew Brees, Cam Jordan has been as big a part of this era of Saints football and most influential parts of this era of Saints football as anybody who's worn the uniform.
Yeah, that's fair to say. And he's going to literally make history if everything stays on pace and he doesn't get hurt. And that's really exciting. And he deserves to have that moment, I think, because don't you think it's a little ironic that Cam Jordan has stayed healthy and has stayed so productive, and the Saints have tried to draft these high-end defensive linemen to kind of help him and eventually replace him, and they haven't really been able to get on the field. It's been all Cam Jordan, and you can at me, last season I was a little doubtful of Cam's abilities just because he's on the other side of 30 now. Like, I think whenever he does decline, it can be a little bit swift, kind of like we saw with Drew Brees, but we're definitely not seeing that. We're not seeing any of that last year, and I'm really excited to see him again this season. I think more the question is who's going to step up alongside Cam Jordan. Can Granderson break out and be a consistent pass rusher? Can Davenport or Peyton Turner stay on the field to help out Cam Jordan? Like, he's going to do him. The rest of the defensive line, I think, needs to help him a little bit more.
Yeah, Davenport and Peyton Turner, man. I mean, we kind of talked about that a little bit last week. When training camp really gets fully underway, you're going to want to see those guys out there on the field. I mean, and especially, just how many times have we all had the conversation about Marcus Davenport? When he's out on the field, he's great. It's just having him out on the field has been the problem his entire time in New Orleans.
Yeah, like 9.5 sacks in 11 games last season? And
I mean,
you don't even have to look at the stats, too. You can see him in the quarterback's lap almost every time it's a pass rushing situation. He's been really good, and Peyton Turner might be that way, too. We literally have not seen him, though.
That's the thing, right? It's not just him actually getting home to the quarterback or anything like that. It's just the impact he can have on the game just every play.
Yeah, and it's been a really big impact for him. And the front seven has been elite the last couple of years, not giving up a 100-yard rusher almost ever. And the secondary, like we mentioned in the beginning, has kind of replaced some names here and there. Malcolm Jenkins coming in for Von Bell was an upgrade. Hopeful that Tyrann Mathieu can end up being an upgrade too. I mean, Marcus Williams was a great player for a long time, but when you add Tyrann to what the Saints already have, on defense, it could possibly be a better unit. It could. And this is a really good unit we're already talking about.
That's how the Saints have been winning, right? Defense.
Yes, well said. And Dennis Allen, the DC, now the new head coach. So maybe things trending in the right direction for New Orleans. Their win total at 8.5 in most sports books going into the season. Soon they'll get a chance to start working on that because we are 24 days away from preseason football in the NFL.